What if your overthinking isn't a flaw, but a hidden operating system 80% of people don't have? Your brain has 3 settings, most people's don't. Future vision, emotional radar, and a built-in lie detector for your own decisions. If you overthink everything, you probably have all 3. And here's the thing, only 15 to 20% of people do. Not because they're smarter, not because they try harder, but because their brains are wired with something psychologists called high cognitive complexity, which is a fancy way of saying your mind doesn't do simple. The other 80%, they think in straight lines. You think in networks. They see 1 outcome. You see 6, and you've already ranked them by probability before they've even finished their sentence. In this video, we break down the 5 hidden rare traits behind that wiring. Let's see which ones are yours, and why they're secretly your biggest advantage. Not all overthinkers have all 5, but if you're still watching, you probably have at least 3. Let's see which ones are yours. Trait 1. Future-oriented threat modeling. Most people react. You predict. While most people react after problems hit, your brain is already predicting them before they even arrive. Imagine this. Someone proposes a plan. Their friend says, "Sounds good." You just pause. Not from fear, but because in those 4 silent seconds, your mind has already run the plan through 6 different realities. Best case, worst case, the likely path, the timing screw-up, the flake-out scenario, and the hidden costs no one mentioned. By the time you even mutter, "Yeah, maybe," you've already built a mental budget for contingencies they haven't even conceived. This isn't anxiety. This is a sophisticated threat modeling system running on autopilot. And it's rare because most brains don't automate this process. Studies on future-oriented cognition show only 18% of people naturally simulate multiple outcomes before making decisions. The other 82%, they wing it. They figure it out as they go. You can't. Your brain won't let you. They walk into situations and adapt. You walk in already holding the complete map of every trapdoor. They call it being spontaneous. You call it being blindsided on purpose. Here's the cost. You look slow, indecisive, overcautious. Here's the truth. You make fewer catastrophic mistakes because you've already killed your bad ideas in your head. That's not a weakness. It's a form of advanced pattern recognition and foresight that most people will simply never develop. Trait 2. Heightened emotional responsibility. You don't just ask, "What did I say?" You relentlessly ask, "How did it land?" And you can't truly move on until you know. Here's the critical difference. Most people hit send and forget. You, however, send that message, then spend the next 20 minutes in a mental forensics lab, analyzing. Was my tone too harsh? Did that period at the end sound angry? Should I have added a haha? Are they boosy, or did they not respond because I said something wrong? On the outside, this might look like insecurity, but from the inside, it's pure empathy running in the background like a crucial app you can't and wouldn't want to close. Psychologists call this interpersonal sensitivity, and only 22% of people score high on it. They say what they mean and forget about it. You say what you mean and then run a forensic analysis on whether it matched your intent. They move on in 30 seconds. You're still reviewing the emotional footage 3 days later. Here's why this is rare. Most people do you and carry the emotional weight of their words past the moment they leave their mouth. You carry it like cargo. You're constantly asking, did I hurt them? Did I disappoint them? Did I make things worse? That's not overthinking. That's emotional accountability most people don't have the bandwidth for, because it can be absolutely exhausting. The value, you are one of the rare few who genuinely avoids accidental harm, precisely because you process impact before, during, and after your words leave your mouth. Most people don't even consider it once. Trait 3. Multi-layer reality processing. You don't just skim life, you absorb Italianoi. In 4K, with director's commentary. Let me explain. You walk into a room for a meeting. What do most people notice? Who's there? where to sit when it starts. What do you notice? Who avoided eye contact? Whose smile didn't quite reach their eyes? The subtle tension in someone's voice when they insisted, "I'm fine." The energy shift the instant a certain topic came up. Who instinctively checked their phone after a specific person spoke. You're not trying to notice this. Your brain simply collects it all automatically. Psychology defines this as heightened sensory and cognitive processing. Only 12 to 15% of people process information at this depth automatically. They experience life in broad strokes. You experience it in 4K with director's commentary. They filter out 90% of sensory input as irrelevant. You retain 90% of it because what if it matters later? Here's the brutal part. This is why you're exhausted after doing nothing. You didn't do nothing. You processed 47 micro-expressions, 12 tone shifts, 3 conversational tension points, 8 unspoken power dynamics. In a 20-minute coffee chat, most people's brains discard that data automatically. Yours catalogs it, cross-references it, tries to find patterns. The cost. You can't rest easy. Your brain doesn't believe the work is done because there's always another layer to decode. The value. You see things coming before they're obvious. You catch lies people don't even know they're telling. You understand people at a level that feels like cheating because you're reading the subtext while they re-still on the headline. That's not overthinking, that's high-resolution awareness. And most people live in standard definition. Trait 4. Simulation engine without bricks. Your imagination isn't just active, it's relentless. You don't daydream. You run simulations. Before a conversation happens, you've already had it 6 times in your head. Before a decision is made, you've already lived with the consequence of each option for a week. Research links high imagination with both creativity and anxiety. Not because imagination causes anxiety, but because unused creative energy turns inward and starts eating itself. Here's what that looks like. Most people think about what they'll say in the moment. You've already written, edited, and deleted for drafts of the conversation before it even starts. They improvise. And here's the strange part. Only 20% of people have what psychologists call high imaginative cognition. But here's the trap. When your imagination has nothing meaningful to work on, it starts generating problems to solve. Worst-case scenarios, social disasters that will never happen, conversations that ended fine but could have gone wrong. Your brain isn't malfunctioning. It's a high-powered engine idling in a parking lot. The moment you give it something complex, a real problem, a creative project, a crisis that needs 17 steps of logic, you calm down completely. Because now, your brain has a target. They get anxious during the crisis. You get calm during the crisis and anxious during the calm. This is why overthinking isn't about fear. It's about a mind built for war rooms, trying to survive in a world of small talk. You weren't built for boredom. You were built to outthink chaos. And when there's no chaos, your brain makes some. Trait 5. Alignment-driven decision-making. You don't want good enough. You want right. And I don't mean morally perfect. I mean aligned with your values, with your logic, with your sense of how things should work. Here's the pattern. Contra. Most people make a decision and move on. You make a decision and then audit it for the next 48 hours. They ask, does this work? You ask, does this work, and does it feel true? Psychology calls this conscientious depth, and studies show only 25% of people naturally operate this way. Here's what it looks like in real life. You're buying something online. You find the best option. Normal person clicks buy. You read 47 reviews. Cross-check on 3 other sites. Ask yourself if you actually need it. This looks insane from the outside. From the inside, you're trying to close the gap between what you did and what you believe. Most people tolerate that gap. You can they are comfortable with pretty good. You're allergic to close enough. The cost, decision fatigue, paralysis, looking like you can't commit. The value, when you do decide, it's almost always the right call. You don't rush, you don't shortcut, you don't betray your own logic. That's not overthinking. That's integrity at a cognitive level most people never reach. So let's bring it all together. You anticipate, because only 18% of people naturally model future threats. You track emotional impact because only 22% carry interpersonal sensitivity. You process in layers because only 12 to 15% have high-resolution awareness. You simulate endlessly because only 20% have imagination engines this strong. You demand alignment because only 25% operate with conscientious depth. If you have 3 or more of these, you're not in the 80%. You're not even in the 50%. You're in the 10 to 15% of people whose brains refuse to run on autopilot. This channel is for the 15% who think too deep to live on the surface. You're not broken, you're rare. They move through life quickly, confidently, simply. You move through it slowly, carefully, deeply. The world rewards their speed, but it quietly depends on your foresight. You're not overthinking. You're operating a complex system in a world built for simple ones. And now you know exactly why. Which of these 5 hit hardest for you? Come in with a number 125. And if you want psychology that explains your mind instead of trying to fix it, subscribe. This channel is for the 15% who think too deep to live on the surface. You're not broken. You're rare.